You might think if a guy's falling for you, he'll say it, show it, or confess it. But the truth, the men who are really catching feelings rarely do. They hide it, not because they don't care, but because they're scared you'll see how much they do. So if you've ever looked at a guy and thought, does he like me, or am I imagining it? Stay here. Because today, I'll show you the 3 subtle signs that reveal when a man's heart is falling faster than his words can keep up. And no, these signs aren't about how often he texts or compliments you. They're about what happens in between those moments, the quiet, subconscious signals that tell you his emotions are slipping past his control. Once you spot them, you'll see the truth he's been too afraid to say out loud. You think you can tell when a man is falling for you? Think again. Most women are watching for the wrong signs completely. The truth is, when a man starts truly falling in love, he doesn't act like the characters in romantic movies. He doesn't suddenly chase harder, text more often, or shower you with obvious attention. In fact, he usually does the complete opposite. He may pull back, become quieter, and start behaving in ways that make you question everything you thought you understood about men. Here's what most women don't realize. When a man begins to feel real emotions, his first instinct isn't to move closer, it's to protect himself. And in that instinct to protect, he reveals everything. The clues are there, but they're subtle, hidden behind layers of logic, fear, and emotional caution. If you can recognize these hidden signals, you'll know exactly when he's falling for you, even when he's trying his hardest to hide it from you and from himself. Have you ever been with a man who seemed deeply interested, maybe even intense, and then suddenly became distant? Not cold, not unkind, just different. You probably assumed he lost interest. But what if that distance is actually the biggest clue that his feelings are growing stronger? Today we'll explore 3 powerful signs that a man is secretly falling for you. Signs that most women completely misunderstand. The first sign might surprise you. He becomes hot and cold on purpose. This doesn't mean he's being flaky or playing games. It means something deeper is going on. A man who was once easy to read suddenly becomes unpredictable. One day he's fully engaged and present. The next, he seems withdrawn or distracted. One moment he's texting you all day, and the next he takes hours to reply to a simple message. Most women take this as a sign that he's pulling away, but it's often the complete opposite. When a man begins to develop real emotions, he enters a kind of internal battle. Part of him wants to be closer, but another part feels scared of what that closeness means. That conflict shows up as inconsistency, the classic hot and cold pattern. Think of it this way. When a man only wants something casual, his behavior stays stable because his emotions aren't complicated. He knows what he wants and what he's willing to give. But when deeper feelings start forming, everything gets messy. He starts overthinking every message, replaying every conversation, and second-guessing himself. This confusion appears as him being inconsistent with you. You might notice it in how he makes plans. One week he's eager to see you multiple times, then suddenly he wants space. He might plan a date with enthusiasm, then act strangely nervous when it's time to meet. This isn't lack of interest, it's emotional overload disguised as mixed signals. The difference between someone losing interest and someone falling for you is in the energy he brings when he is with you. A man losing interest becomes more detached overall. But a man falling in love switches between 2 extremes, intense connection and deliberate distance. When he's around you, he's fully present, focused entirely on you. His energy feels strong and you can sense that spark. But then he retreats, not because he doesn't care, but because he cares too much. This pattern can also show in how he texts. He might send thoughtful, long messages that reveal how much he's been thinking of you, then follow with short, almost formal replies. It's not that he's rude, he's just trying to control how emotionally involved he appears. The long texts escape when his guard drops. The short ones appear when he realizes he's opened up too much. Being hot and cold even shows in physical closeness. One time he might be affectionate and tender. The next he seems a little reserved. It's not rejection. It's him trying to steady himself. Every time he gets close, he feels how real his emotions are becoming, and it frightens him. So he steps back to regain emotional balance. What makes this so confusing is that it's the opposite of what most women expect. We're taught that real interest looks like consistency and predictability, but genuine emotional connection is rarely that simple. A man who's truly falling isn't following a script. He's trying to manage emotions he can barely understand himself. His hot and cold behavior is the outward sign of the storm inside him. The second sign is even more unexpected. He begins to ask you fewer personal questions. This sounds strange because traditional dating advice says that interested men want to know everything about you. But when a man is developing serious feelings, something shifts. He becomes more careful with what he asks and more selective about the things he wants to know. Here's why. When feelings are shallow, asking personal questions feels safe. It's just small talk with no emotional risk. But once he realizes he truly cares, every answer you give could pull him in deeper or make him face emotions he's not ready for. So, he becomes strategic. He might stop asking big emotional questions about your past relationships, your dreams, or your fears. Instead, he keeps the conversation in safer areas. He asks how your day was, what you enjoyed doing, or your thoughts about small everyday things. These topics feel lighter, easier to control. By focusing on the present, he avoids confronting how emotionally connected he's become. You might notice that he avoids deep topics about your past or future. He may not ask about your previous partners because he's not ready to imagine himself compared to them. He avoids questions about your long-term plans because deep down, he's scared of realizing how naturally he might fit into them. Instead, he stays in the moment, learning about you without forcing himself to admit how attached he already feels. This careful curiosity also appears in how he reacts when you open up. When you share something personal, he listens intently but doesn't always follow up with more questions. It's not that he doesn't care. He's simply trying to control how emotionally vulnerable he becomes. Every personal detail you reveal makes you more real in his mind, and therefore more powerful over his emotions. The questions he does ask become more focused and specific. Instead of "what do you want from life?" he might ask, "What's your favorite thing to do on a Sunday morning?" These smaller questions still let him connect with you, but without diving too deep into emotional territory. You can also see this in his silence. Sometimes, instead of asking questions, he just observes, memorizing the small details about you that most people overlook. He remembers how you like your coffee, which song you always hum, or what makes you laugh after a bad day. These details become meaningful to him because they're safe ways to connect without exposing his heart too much. It's his way of learning you quietly without making himself too emotionally vulnerable. That's why this sign often gets misread. Many women think his quietness means indifference, when in truth, it's a sign of careful emotional investment. He's feeling more than he's saying, and that's exactly why he's saying less. So when you notice him pulling back slightly in conversation or becoming a bit quieter after being so open before, don't rush to assume he's losing interest. There's a good chance he's just trying to manage the flood of emotions you've stirred in him. Men often handle deep feelings differently. Instead of talking more, they retreat inward, trying to make sense of what they're feeling before showing it. The fewer questions he asks, the more he's probably thinking about the answers already, replaying your words in his mind, analyzing what they mean, and wondering how they fit into how he feels about you. This shift from curiosity to caution is not a sign of distance, it's a sign of depth. It shows he's reached the stage where knowing more about you isn't just interesting, it's emotional. And for a man who values his composure, that's a very vulnerable place to be. So if you ever notice that he's stopped prying and started simply watching, listening, and remembering, understand that what he's really doing is falling, quietly, carefully, and more deeply than he probably planned. Instead of asking, "What are you looking for in a relationship?" he might ask something lighter like, "Do you prefer planning ahead or being spontaneous?" These smaller questions help him understand how compatible you both are without stepping into emotionally intense areas. What makes this sign truly revealing is how closely he listens to your responses. Even though he's asking fewer deep questions, he remembers nearly everything you say. He stores away little details about your likes, habits, and opinions. This isn't random curiosity. It's careful attention towards someone who's becoming increasingly special to him. You might even notice moments where he begins to ask something deep, then suddenly stops and changes the topic. He might start with, "Have you ever," and then shift into something lighter mid-sentence. These small moments show his inner struggle between wanting to fully know you and needing to protect himself from falling too quickly. This hesitation also helps him keep a sense of emotional space. By avoiding overly deep questions, he can pretend his feelings aren't as strong as they actually are. It's a quiet form of self-protection that ends up revealing just how intense those feelings have become. The third and biggest sign that a man is secretly falling for you is subtle but powerful. He starts treating you as though you're already a couple, even when you're not officially together. This one is often the most confusing because it happens right alongside the distance, hesitation, and hot and cold behavior we talked about earlier. While one part of him is pulling away to stay safe, another part is already pulling you into his world as if you're a permanent part of it. You'll notice this in small, almost accidental ways. He starts saying we instead of I when talking about the future. He might say, "We should check out that new cafe," or "We have to see that movie when it's out." These slip-ups are signs his mind has already started seeing you as a team, even if he hasn't fully realized it yet. This couple-like behavior also appears in his decisions. He may start thinking about what you'd prefer before making choices for himself. He might say things like, "I was thinking about getting a new car, but I remember you don't like trucks." Or, "I almost booked that trip, but I thought maybe we'd want to do something together." That's not casual thoughtfulness. That's emotional integration. You've already become part of his internal decision-making. The way he talks about you to others also starts to shift, even if you don't hear it firsthand. Friends might mention that he brings you up often or tells stories that revolve around moments he shared with you. He may not say outright that he's falling in love, but he's unconsciously building you into his life narrative. You may also notice that he casually includes you in his future without asking if you'll be there. He'll mention events months away and assume your presence, saying things like, "When summer comes we should," or "next year if we." These aren't firm plans, but they're clues that his brain has already placed you in his long-term view. As his emotional attachment deepens, his protective instincts begin to expand as well. Not just in obvious, chivalrous ways, but in quiet, everyday gestures that show he sees you as someone he wants to look after. He might check the weather before you go out and suggest you bring a jacket, or remind you of something important you mentioned earlier in the week. These thoughtful details show he's thinking about you even when you're not around. He's moved from casual interest to ongoing care, which is one of the clearest signs of emotional investment. What's important here is how natural these actions seem. He's not performing or trying to impress you. He's just doing it because it feels natural to him now. His emotions have already placed you in a special category, someone worth protecting and thinking about. Sometimes he'll realize he's doing it and get a little embarrassed. He might make a comment about something you'll do together in the future, then quickly correct himself with, "I mean, if you want to," or assuming we're still. Those small backtracks show that his heart is ahead of his mind. His emotions are leading, even when his logic tries to slow him down. This behavior reveals the tug-of-war between what he consciously wants to control and what he subconsciously feels. Consciously, he may still be trying to stay casual, but emotionally, he's already attached. You'll also notice practical signs of this attachment. He may start keeping things at his place that make you more comfortable. A spare toothbrush, your favorite drink, or a blanket you like. Not because you asked him to, but because he wants you to feel at home. He might adjust small routines around your preferences, like watching shows you like or changing plans to match your schedule. He's slowly creating a space in his life where you naturally fit in. He might even act like it's no big deal, but deep down, he knows he's building a life that quietly includes you. What makes all three of these signs, the hot and cold behavior, the reduced questioning, and the unconscious couple habits, so easy to miss is that they don't fit our usual idea of how love looks. We've been taught to expect consistency, pursuit, and grand romantic gestures. But real emotional connection often looks much messier. It involves pulling back when things feel too real, acting cautious even when the heart is racing, and unconsciously showing care long before words of love are ever spoken. The man who's truly falling for you isn't acting out a movie script. He's trying to handle emotions that scare him as much as they excite him. His inconsistency doesn't mean he's unsure about you. It means he's overwhelmed by what he feels. His quietness isn't emotional distance. It's his attempt to manage how vulnerable he's becoming. His small gestures, the ones that assume a shared future, aren't accidents. They're proof that in his mind, you already belong there. Once you understand these hidden signs, everything about how you interpret a man's behavior starts to shift. The silence that once made you feel ignored might actually be the sound of him trying to process how deeply he cares. The mixed signals that made you question his interest might just be him wrestling with fear and attachment at the same time. Those casual mentions of we, or the way he quietly includes you in his plans, aren't meaningless. They're his subconscious admitting what his words haven't yet said out loud. The real key to understanding when a man is falling for you lies in noticing what slips through his control. He can manage his words, choose his actions, and pretend to be relaxed, but his emotional truth always shows up in the subtle patterns he doesn't even notice himself doing. The inconsistency, the cautious curiosity, and the gentle inclusion of you in his world, those are the real love signals. When you see these things happening, don't rush to react or overanalyze. Just recognize them for what they are, signs of a man's heart opening, even if his mind is still catching up. A man who's falling while trying not to will sometimes need a bit of space, not because he doesn't care, but because caring so deeply is new territory for him. So if you see the pullback, the quiet questions, and the unspoken future planning, remember, these aren't red flags. They're signs of someone wrestling with feelings he can't hide anymore, slowly falling in love while pretending not to, pushing for clarity or trying to make things consistent often just makes him shut down even more. Instead, when you understand these signs, you can relax knowing his feelings are growing, even if his actions don't always show it. The real beauty in seeing these subtle signals is that they give you a glimpse into what's actually going on inside his emotions. Instead of wondering where you stand, you begin to see the back and forth for what it truly is, a man battling with his own deepening attachment. Instead of feeling rejected when he keeps certain boundaries, you can start seeing those boundaries as proof that you actually matter to him. When you notice his small, unconscious hints about the future, rather than getting confused, you can recognize them as signs of what his heart is beginning to feel, even if his mind isn't ready to admit it yet. These little signs reveal a lot about how men handle their emotions as they start falling for someone. Men are rarely taught to deal with deep feelings easily. Most are raised to stay in control, to decide fast, and to rely only on themselves emotionally. So when real vulnerability shows up, many don't know how to handle it smoothly. That's why their behavior can seem mixed or confusing, but underneath, it actually shows how deeply they're feeling things. Seeing these patterns clearly also protects you from misunderstanding normal emotional development as disinterest or emotional games. Once you understand that falling in love often looks like pulling away, you stop chasing or creating pressure that only makes him guard himself more. When you know that fewer questions or slower responses can actually mean he's processing deeper emotions, you stop mistaking that for a lack of care. When you notice his unconscious integration, like using we instead of I, You realize his heart has already started making decisions, even if his brain is still catching up. What's even more valuable is understanding when these behaviors appear. They don't all happen at once. They follow a kind of emotional timeline that mirrors what's going on inside him. The hot and cold phase usually happens first, often in the first few weeks of a deeper connection. This is when he first realizes his feelings are shifting from something casual to something real. You'll see that push and pull. One moment he's close, the next he's distant. That's his mind trying to regain control while his heart is opening up. Then comes the phase where his questions and curiosity start to change. This middle stage appears once he's had time to realize those feelings aren't going away. His self-protection becomes more intentional. He doesn't just pull back physically anymore. He starts controlling how much he shares and how much he asks. This can be the hardest part to read because his actions seem more careful and subtle. The final stage is unconscious integration, when his heart has basically decided even if he hasn't said it aloud. You'll notice more slip-ups now. We statements, future assumptions, protective gestures. It's like he's already emotionally in the relationship but hasn't consciously admitted it yet. He's fighting a losing battle with his own emotions. Understanding this journey helps you see exactly where he is emotionally. If he's hot and cold, he's just starting to realize his feelings. If he's acting cautious and selective with his communication, he's trying to manage that emotional growth. And if he's already treating you as though you're part of his future without realizing it, then his heart's already chosen. His words just haven't caught up. But there's another layer, how his past experiences and personality shape these signs. A man who's been hurt before usually shows stronger, more extreme versions of these behaviors. His push-pull might feel more dramatic, his emotional walls harder to lower. He's learned that love can hurt, so his instincts make him protect himself more fiercely. On the other hand, emotionally aware men show subtler versions. Their distance might be shorter, their tone more composed, but the pattern is still there. Even emotionally intelligent men struggle with the vulnerability that comes from real feelings. They just hide it better. Culture also plays a big role. Men raised in environments where emotions were seen as weakness often develop stronger defenses. They've been trained to hide feelings instead of expressing them. So when love shows up, they resist harder. Their inconsistency might seem confusing, their emotional control more complete, but deep down the resistance is just as strong as the feelings they're trying to manage. It's also important to know the difference between these signs and real disinterest. A man who's not interested doesn't show strategic inconsistency. He shows constant disengagement. He doesn't limit questions to protect himself. He just doesn't ask them at all. He doesn't unconsciously include you in his plans. He keeps you completely outside of them. The difference lies in the quality of connection. A disinterested man always stays on the surface, even when he's polite or friendly. But a man who's catching feelings while fighting them has moments of deep emotional connection. Flashes of sincerity and vulnerability that show what's really going on inside. Another key difference is in how his behavior changes over time. When someone's not interested, their attention and effort just keep fading. But when a man is falling for you secretly, you'll notice an ongoing rhythm. He gets close, then backs off, then comes close again, but he never fully disappears. That rhythm means he's trying to manage his emotions, not escape them. These signs can even grow stronger during certain moments in life. Stress, big decisions, or emotional milestones can all trigger more intense reactions. If he's under pressure from work, family, or personal challenges, he'll protect his emotions even more. He's not only trying to control how much he feels for you, he's trying to manage everything emotionally at once. The same happens around relationship milestones. Meeting friends or family, holidays, or events that hint at a future together can all make his defenses flare up again. You might notice him acting more distant or cautious, not because he doesn't want those things, but because the seriousness of what's happening scares him a little. Understanding all this allows you to step back and see his actions with empathy instead of frustration. His hesitation doesn't always mean rejection. Sometimes it's just his heart trying to protect itself while falling deeper than he planned. When you can see his behavior as emotional self-defense instead of mixed signals, you give both him and yourself the space to grow naturally into connection. They're not just random actions, they're signs that you've become emotionally important to him. The real value in understanding these signals goes beyond simply noticing his feelings. It's about learning how to respond in a way that supports his emotional journey rather than making him pull away further. When you see him acting inconsistently instead of mirroring that same energy, your calm and steady behavior helps him feel emotionally safe. That steadiness tells him that it's okay to feel without losing control. When you notice him asking fewer or more careful questions, respond by sharing naturally and comfortably without pressuring him to dig deeper or talk about emotions he's not ready to face yet. This shows that you're not trying to force connection, you're allowing it to grow on its own. When you see him unconsciously include you in small future plans, like saying we or imagining shared moments, acknowledging it softly without making it awkward allows him to continue doing it naturally. The goal isn't to point out these behaviors or demand that he explains how he feels. It's to create a space where his emotions can unfold freely without being blocked by fear or pressure. Most importantly, understanding these patterns keeps you emotionally grounded when his signals get confusing. Instead of overthinking or doubting your value, you begin to see his mixed behavior for what it really is. Proof that he's developing deeper feelings he's not quite ready to express openly. This awareness lets you stay calm and confident rather than anxious or reactive. You start responding from strength, not insecurity. The man who's secretly falling for you is often caught between excitement and fear. He feels emotions that both thrill and unsettle him. His mind tries to protect him from vulnerability, but his heart keeps pulling him closer. His actions become a reflection of that inner tug of war. By learning to recognize these quiet, often hidden signs, you can understand what's happening emotionally beneath the surface. You don't need him to confess his feelings before he's ready. You already see the truth in how he behaves. That understanding helps you handle the situation wisely. Instead of reacting to every change in his behavior, you start responding to the emotion driving it. You allow space for connection to grow naturally rather than forcing it to happen too soon. When you create that kind of emotional safety, he gradually lets his guard down. The self-protection softens, the mixed signals fade, and what's left is real emotional connection, built on trust, not pressure. The deeper insight behind all of this is that falling in love is rarely simple, especially for men who've learned to think strategically about relationships instead of emotionally. For many, vulnerability feels risky, like stepping into unfamiliar territory without a map. So when genuine feelings begin to form, they don't rush in fearlessly. They move carefully, testing whether it's safe to open up. That's why the very behaviors that look like uncertainty or disinterest can actually be signs of emotional depth. What often looks like confusion is really caution. What seems like distance is often emotional self-protection. When you see this, you stop taking his behavior personally. You understand that he's not playing games. He's trying to navigate feelings that scare him a little because they're real. This shift in perspective allows you to connect more deeply without losing your own emotional stability. Learning to read these subtle emotional cues gives you access to his inner world long before he's able to express it out loud. You start recognizing when he's trying to manage his heart and when he's beginning to trust you with it. You begin to feel the rhythm of his emotional pace, when to lean in, when to give space, and when to simply let things breathe. And that's the beauty of emotional awareness. You no longer need constant reassurance because you can see love developing in the small, quiet moments, in the pauses, the hesitations, the unspoken gestures. You start realizing that falling in love isn't always a loud declaration. Sometimes it's a slow and delicate process that builds silently between two people who never planned to care this much. By understanding these signs, you're not only learning about him, you're learning how emotional connection truly works. You discover that real intimacy grows best in calm, patient spaces where both people feel safe enough to be real, and that awareness becomes your strength. It allows you to navigate the beautiful, sometimes messy process of two hearts gradually realizing they mean far more to each other than either expected.